What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cream City Curveball. Another episode, a special episode. I'm your man Justin down here in North Carolina.
And Pipe Bomb here in the good land. And then we got Dan Zielinski, MLB draft savant. Not even an expert, just an absolute stud when it comes to all things draft. Writes for baseballprospectjournal.com. Welcome in, Dan. How you doing, buddy?
Thanks, guys. Excited to talk with you.
So, Dan, was it the smoke signal? Was it the bat signal? Because we talked a little bit of Twitter about doing a show going over the Brewers draft picks. And did you see that these two jabronis could not get enough draft stuff? You know, we could probably read Ebel's last name and maybe Sabathia, and that's about it. And he came to come save us, Pipe.
Dude, anytime Jeff texts me, I answer. He's a legend in Milwaukee, so always got to answer when Pipe Bomb texts.
Oh, you lie, but I love it. Have they put you into the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee Hall of Fame yet?
Not yet. I don't know what they're waiting for, but, maybe one day. Either. Probably they want more money out of me, probably. So.
Probably, but it will happen. It will happen. All right, so MLB draft, the least exciting, if we're being honest, of all the drafts, besides the WNBA. It still holds more punch than that, but probably less armpit hair. Brewers made a lot of selections here, Dan. What was your main takeaway on the picks that the crew picked up?
Yeah, this was an intriguing draft for the Brewers because usually they really have a strong philosophy where they draft some really quality college performers and take some chances on high upside high school guys. They did that to some extent in this year's draft, but with having the sixth lowest bonus pool allotment, they couldn't get as creative as they'd like to in previous years. So they definitely took some risks in this year's draft, but with having the number one farm system in baseball, I think they can afford to do that because if they hit on some of these guys, they have potential all-star type players at the major league level one day.
So for our fans, and just because some of them, they're probably a lot more well off than what me and Pipe are as far as draft knowledge. Explain to us how that bonus pool slot works and how do they allocate it, Lord have mercy, allocate it each year. How do they determine what the Brewers get?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So each pick in the first 10 rounds is assigned a slot value by Major League Baseball, ranging from anywhere like $10 million or something like that for the first overall pick, anywhere down to a little bit above $150,000. So based on where you're picking in the draft, if you get a competitive balance pick, which goes to the smaller market teams, or if you get one of those like rookie promotion picks that you get if a player wins Rookie of the Year, things like that, all kind of factor into your signing bonus allotment. So like, for example, the Brewers had the 67th pick. That was a competitive balance B pick. They ended up trading that away to the Red Sox for Kyle Harrison. So their bonus allotment ended up going down about $1.3 million because of that. So everything's assigned a slot value. You can't exceed it more than 5%. Otherwise, you start losing draft picks. Guys after the 10th round, the minimum is $150,000. Not the minimum. That's what counts as the amount you can sign them for before they start counting against the signing bonus allotment. So there's a lot of math involved. I won't get into it too farther unless we want to, but a lot of math involved, and teams really try to maximize that across all 20 picks.
No, thank you for stopping there, man. Math, I'm totally allergic. Okay, so at number 25, Brewers take Trey Abel, shortstop. We drafted his brother last year. Doesn't his brother play short as well?
He does, but some scouts prefer Trey Abel over his brother Brady, think he has a higher ceiling than his brother, so that's going to be something to kind of watch. But at the end of the day, like I mentioned early on here, the Brewers prefer these up-the-middle position players because of their versatility, because of the premium position they play. So really, when it comes to the baseball draft, you're more drafting for best available rather than need. Once you start drafting for need, you kind of run into some troubles there. But Trey Abel is a really exciting player. He's a guy that I had a second, third round grade coming into the spring on, but he definitely had a lot of late healing William. The Brewers were connected to him throughout the entire process. And I heard some rumblings from some people that the Brewers could take him in the first round. I thought it was more realistic they'd take him in the second, but either way, they take him here in the first round. Guy that's 6 foot tall, 180-pound right-handed hitter, really known for his contact-oriented skill set, being able to really square up that baseball, and someone who can maybe stick at shortstop long term.
Okay, so Justin, I'm sorry, but you touched on something that I'm glad you said, Dan, because I was sitting there and I looked up, a bunch of different sites on draft grades that they gave the Brewers, and right here on Bleacher Report, it says best draft was the Chicago White Sox. And then the worst draft class is your Milwaukee Brewers. And they said that the Ebel kid was a reach. They said that MLB.com had him ranked at 107. Brewers picked him at 25. Are they being too harsh on the beloved, or what's the case? Did the Brewers really reach with this kid?
I mean, like I said, he wasn't a first-round grade necessarily, but part of it has to come down to that signing bonus allotment. Teams trying to get creative, so they take Trey Ebel in that first round, but then they get a first-round talent in that second round, and Sawyer Strasnider, the outfielder from TCU. So they kind of balanced it out a bit, and it really will come down to too if they use some of this extra money, because Trey Ebel is going to sign below slot. I think the slot value is about $3.3 million for that 25th overall pick. I would expect him to sign about $2.8 to $3 million, so it'll give them some flexibility and money to spend elsewhere on other picks. So I would expect them to use that money with some of these later round picks, these high school guys they took that they know signability will be a concern. But again, really, you can never judge a draft class until 5 to 7 years down the line. We can all talk about how great someone's going to be, and someone's going to look like a no-brainer pick, and then he ends up being a big flop, doesn't make it to the major leagues. So, yeah, on paper, was he a reach? Yes, but the Brewers kind of try to maximize that by taking some guys later in the draft, too.
That's a great that's a great segue, because what my question was going to be. So when you look at Ebel and you compare him to some of our previous first round picks, you got Braylon Payne right now in high A doing amazing things. How did he grade out compared to what Braylon was when he was a first round pick? Because I think they're both pretty comparable, both being high school players.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. One I haven't received at all yet, but that's a great comparison, because Braylon Payne, was a guy that didn't necessarily enter the draft as a potential first-round pick. He was a guy I was really high on, a guy I talked to and really, enjoyed because of his makeup, his contact-oriented skills, ability to play center field long-term. But he was a guy most considered a second-round pick too. But again, with the Brewers liking to kind of be flexible and, take advantage of, as many picks as they can with the draft, they ended up taking him in that first round because they didn't think he'd make it to the second round. And then they spread that money out over, I think they got Blake Burke in that draft, if I'm not mistaken, or they took, some other guys, high upside guys, that draft. So similar actually profiles, to be honest with you. Don't play the same position, but really kind of similar skill sets in terms of quick, contact oriented skills, great makeup. So that's a great comparison.
One quick, let me get one more quick one in here real quick, Pipe. I promise it's a short one. What letter grade would you give this Brewers draft? Because we listen to Bleacher Report and all those other people, but we care more about what you think, Dan. Bleacher Report and all them, they're okay, but you're the man.
I appreciate that. I'd probably give it like a B-, C+. I think there's some potential here, but you also have a lot of risk too. Trey Ebel, he's got to impact the baseball more if he really wants to be a everyday major league player. Will he stick at shortstop long term? He's got the skill set, but if I had to guess, he'd probably move to third base. You got a guy like Sawyer Strasnider, outfielder from TCU. He's got swing and miss concerns. That could hamper him and impact his future as well. You got some guys with injury concerns, things like that. So there's a lot of question marks, a lot of risk, but there's also a lot of upside in this draft. So it just comes down to if the Brewers can hit on a few guys.
See, now I was doing some homework before we had you on because you're so damn smart that I was trying to pretend like I'm close. One of these kids that they drafted, pitcher, sat there and had Tommy John in high school.
Right.
Is that a good thing because it's out of the way and all systems go, or is that a bad sign of things potentially to come?
Yeah, that's a great question too. It really depends on the organization. But if you ask me, I don't think it's necessarily a red flag. You're talking about Julian Garcia, the Brewers' fourth round pick, right-handed pitcher out of California, a high school kid, and his delivery does have a little bit of effort, but it's not as bad as I've seen. I think it's actually not that bad either when it comes to the effort. So, is it a bad thing? Not necessarily. I'm not concerned about that. If it wasn't for that injury and missing all of 2025 recovering, he probably would have been a guy maybe going in the second round. Right-handed high school pitching is the riskiest demographic as well. Teams always get worried about that because, first off, there's a ton of them, and second of all, you can find a left-hander, and if he doesn't necessarily turn out to be a starter, there's value for a left-hander in the bullpen. Whereas, again, you can find right-handed pitchers are a dime a dozen. So right-handed high school pitching is a little bit more risky of a demographic to draft early, but I think where the Brewers got him in the fourth round, yes, he's got that injury history. Hopefully he doesn't need it again. Now, if he'd need it again, then he's, could be shot at that point. But I like the upside, especially with the Brewers pitching lab that they have, because Julian Garcia's got a mid-90s fastball, touches 97, 98, really good curveball as well. That's really, aligns well with the metrics of the pitch and what the Brewers seek in starting pitchers. So definitely a risk, but I'm not too concerned.
So the thing that made me get out of my seat was our last pick, Carson Sabathia. With Jaden Fielder on there, I just think it's a smart thing to do. You draft these guys with these great last names whose fathers have done great things for us. Do you see a chance where Carson eventually is in Milwaukee? What is his upside? What is his downside? What's his weaknesses?
Yeah, that's a great question because Carson Sabathia was a guy that kind of bounced around college baseball, was a 4 or 5 year guy, started off his career at Georgia Tech, spent the last couple of years at Houston, and wasn't necessarily an everyday player. And I don't think really was on a lot of teams' radar, but then he went to the draft combine last month, and that's where he hit 7 baseballs that were about 105 miles an hour or harder. So he definitely grabbed some attention there. I think it's a great move. It's the 20th round. You see teams do this where they take some chances on guys. Really great frame at 6'4", right-handed hitter, can hit the ball with some authority and power. Didn't necessarily show that fully in college. I think a couple swing tweaks to trying to get more loft on the baseball would benefit him. And I know Todd Johnson, the Brewers scouting director, raved about his maturity, his makeup, things like that. So what are the chances of him making it to the major leagues? I think it's the same chance as all these guys. There's a chance, but you never know. So I think the Brewers took him partly because of the last name and the relationship they had and, knowing the family, but also because I think there are some intriguing tools with his ability to hit the baseball really hard.
All right, I got two last ones here for you. Talking to Dan Zielinski, MLB draft savant from baseballprospectjournal.com. Second to last question I got. A couple dudes the Brewers picked have Wisconsin ties. You want to talk a little bit about those guys real quick?
Yeah, it was really kind of intriguing because Wisconsin has turned into kind of a quiet hotbed for baseball talent. We've seen a lot of guys get drafted in recent years. One guy that really stands out to me, I know he was their second pick there in the draft from Wisconsin, was Chance Ruby, high school shortstop, 17th rounder out of Wilmot, 6 foot, 190 pounds. And he's someone that can play shortstop. I think he could stick at that position long term because he's got a really strong arm, really great actions, moves well side to side, and super athletic at the position. Someone who can hit the ball hard but needs to generate more power, more loft in his swing long term, and really has great instinct. So I think he's a really intriguing player. I'm going to be curious to see if the Brewers do end up signing him or if he goes to UIC. And the other guy they took him in the 12th round is Marcus Cruzan. He's a right-handed pitcher out of Minnesota. He's from Ashland High School. Really intriguing guy, too. Someone who was a late bloomer, started his career off at St. Thomas before going to Minnesota. Had mixed results this year at Minnesota. He doesn't necessarily, strike out a ton of people, but he also doesn't walk a lot of guys too, and has really good feel for his breaking pitches. Good size at 6'2" as well. And with the Brewers, I'm always intrigued by some of these guys, these pitchers that they draft, especially the ones that are kind of under the radar, because we've seen the Brewers do a phenomenal job of developing pitching. So the Brewers are always looking for these characteristics, whether it's just metrics on breaking pitches, size, some of the other analytics on pitches too, and hopes of then maybe able to develop them, get more out of them in the future. So really intriguing pick. Brewers take 2 local guys, so we'll be excited to watch long term.
Okay, so now I've got one comment and one more question for you. The comment, Matt Arnold, if you're watching, Mark Adonacio, if you're watching, you're going to be saving a little bit of money with Ebel and his slot, all that, save about a couple $100,000. You should throw that at Dan and have him as head of scouting. Sure. I'm all for that. Absolutely. I'm not even his agent. So, but yeah, do that. And then my last question here is, with all the dudes that the Brewers picked, and like you said, it's really hard to judge an MLB draft, especially, for about 5 years, and you just pick and pray on a lot of these dudes. If you had to sit there and buy a jersey of one of these guys that you think is going to make any kind of impact here in Milwaukee.
Let me stop you. I got a question for you. Finish your question. Are you talking about one of your DH Gate jerseys, or are you talking about the real deal? The levels of this fight.
No, it's definitely a DH Gate, man. With 5-7 years, I'm only dropping $20. I ain't spending no $250. So yeah, just a $20 Chinese jersey. Which one of these guys' jersey you buying?
That's a great question, Jeff. That's a tough one to answer, because I think it could be any one of their first 3 picks they made.
Go with Ebel, because you got 2 chances. Could be him or his brother.
Yeah, I think Trey Ebel, Sawyer Strasnider, or Kyle Jones, the outfielder from Florida, are all intriguing guys. I tend to lean towards Kyle Jones, the 3rd-round pick, outfielder from Florida. He's a 6'3", 190-pound right-handed hitter. Really intriguing background. I interviewed him leading up to the draft, interviewed him along with roughly 35 other guys in this year's draft, and wrote feature stories on him. But Kyle Jones was really intriguing because late bloomer coming out of high school, ended up going to Stetson, which was nearby where he grew up in Florida, ends up adding about 40 pounds to his frame over the last 3 years. Missed last season with a shoulder-ish injury. This year comes out, really produces in the SEC. Someone who is really well known for his contact-oriented skills, doesn't swing and miss at pitches out of the zone, can play center field, super athletic, and can steal bases. Biggest knock on him is he just doesn't impact the baseball at a high enough clip, but that's something he's worked on over the last year or so, and something I think with a couple mechanical changes to the swing and just continued experience against his premium pitching, I think he's someone that could be a major league player and maybe an everyday player down the line.
That's a great choice, man, and I think he has a little chip on his shoulder because Pipe Bomb's Troy Trojans sent them home in that College World Series as well. So, no,
hell yeah. Well, and then I'm sorry, Justin, but yeah, with you being UWM's biggest fan, alumni, all that kind of stuff, how awesome was that with the run that they made in the College World Series?
Yeah, that was exciting. I mean, I can't say I expected it by any means. I mean, they had an under 500 record, got smoked in non-conference play, but it was good for the baseball program. They're such underfunded from a program standpoint, especially when it comes to NIL. So it was fun to see. I wish they had a couple more pitchers that they could have leaned on there, but it was good publicity for 2 days for UWM.
Yeah, I actually saw them play out here in Durham, North Carolina against Duke, and they got shellacked every game.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
And that leads me to one of my last questions. Can you talk a little bit about the UW Milwaukee guys that were drafted, and then just the entire state as a whole? Because I think that's an important thing. I saw the Atlanta Braves do a lot of work in the state of Wisconsin, bringing guys down to their organization too.
Yeah, I really, starting with just the the guys from Wisconsin, the high school guys, there's a lot of guys that I really liked from the state this year. The most notable is Dominic Santarelli. He went in the 18th round, but he was the top prospect out of the state. I think he probably ends up going to LSU, but he's one of the best players I've seen in the state in my 12 years doing this. Really exciting player. Draws a lot of comps to Kyle Schwarber. I think he's a tad more athletic, frankly, than Kyle Schwarber, but very similar swing, big power guy. I think he can handle center field. I know I'm in the minority on that, but someone to watch maybe over the next 3 years before he's draft eligible again, if he does end up going to LSU. And then, there's a shortstop from Hudson, Jason Maderkowski, who's really
I like
intriguing.
him already.
Yeah. And then, like you said, the Braves loaded up on guys. They took Tyson Rubalkowski, Muskego High School right-handed pitcher. Really like him. Great size at 6'5", 225. Big-time fastball breaking pitch. Jack Brenner's a kid from Fond du Lac High School. And then they took UWM catcher Dominic Hilber, who's an intriguing guy. Left-handed hitter, college experience. He's undersized at 5'8", 190 pounds. I'll be curious to see if he can stick at catcher long term, or if the Braves kind of move him to the outfield to maybe kind of allow him to focus on the bat. Great year for Wisconsin. They didn't necessarily have, an early round pick. The third round was their highest, but I think there's a lot of potential in this year's class, and you could see at least maybe a couple of these guys make it to the major leagues in a few years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's the latest at baseballprospectjournal.com?
Yeah, like I said, I've been covering the draft for 12 years, interviewed over 700 of the top guys in that span, constantly talking with players, scouts, coaches to really dive into who the top guys are in the class and kind of bring their stories to life, both on and off the field. So always enjoy doing that. You can find that all at baseballprospectjournal.com.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you for hopping on, educating us. Matt Arnold, Mark A., that's your man right there, head of scouting, Dan Zielinski, El Champion of the MLB draft, man. That's awesome. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, guys. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Dan Zielinski joined us, on our yet-to-be sponsored podcast here on the No Sponsor Cast. But, yeah, man, dude knows his stuff, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's spot on, man. I wanted to ask him the question about the North Atlanta Little League, but I felt like we'll leave that out. We'll keep it Brewers, man. I got my Warbirds hat on today because we're in the middle of the draft, man. So, Pipe, real quick before we get out of here, we got a couple things we got to touch on. First of all, we got first place baseball in the low A with the Wilson Warbirds are right now at the All-Star break in first place in their league. First place, excuse me, not first base. They're at first base, too. Then you have the, what's my guys? The Wisconsin Timberrattlers, first place baseball. Biloxi Shuckers, first place baseball. So I think when you look at a lot of these people talking about these risk in this draft and stuff like that, the reason why we're able to play with this draft and take these big risks, because we're already batting 1,000. So anything else we add to it is just better, in my opinion.
Yeah, but no, I don't like taking a whole lot of risk in the draft for the most part, especially when you're a poverty franchise like the Milwaukee Brewers, is because you want to sit there and even if these kids don't work out or there's a log jam, you got 800 great outfielders or infielders, whatever, which is why it's weird that you draft brothers back-to-back years and they both play shortstop. I like to get more sure things, guys who are rated higher, who at least according to the experts, have a better chance of making it, because if they don't, or if there's a log jam at a position, you can flip them and get somebody else. Trade them away, stuff like that, and try to pick up pieces of need. But that's just my philosophy. Which and I'm ask my wife. According to her, I'm wrong 100% of the time. In reality, it's probably only about 92%.
Oh, man, your wife is awesome 100% of the time. According to mine, I'm wrong 120% of the time. So there you go. Hey, man, so I think one thing that we really got to do, bro, like we're sitting here, first place major league team, first place all those minor league teams we just went over and stuff like that. sitting out here in the parking lot, long day of work, but you Brewers fans, you're so important to me and Pipe. We're like, we got to do this, especially get Dan on. But I think we just need to get your feelings, my feelings. First half is ended. I called into Tim at the end. Had the shot clock running down on me, had to get it out kind of quick. That's probably a pause. And, so I'll share mine and we'll let you rock it out. But I was very frustrated with Pat Murphy in the Pittsburgh Pirates series. That's not a reflection on him and totality of the first half of this season. But I do feel like Pat sometimes lets his foot off of the gas, plays with his food, and we should, if we're sitting at 59 wins, I think there's a vehement chance we could be at 63, 64. A lot of that comes into, in my opinion, number one, leaving Laura down there for too long. And these Greg, he's a Chicago Cub, so we diss the hell out of him now. These Greg Jones lineups. We cannot have that stuff. You cannot just punt games, especially against division rivals. I know the Pittsburgh Pirates, they suck. Everyone's talking about give them credit. No, I'm not giving them credit. That team can't beat anybody but us, period. So I was extremely frustrated with it. I'm extremely happy with the first half of the season, 59 wins. I want to see us get to 100. But more importantly, for me, and the reason why I'm frustrated, bro, is every game matters. And every game may have a bearing on us getting this World Series. And that is the only goal that I'm focused on. I don't give a damn about your 100 wins. I don't give a damn about your 60. I don't care about all that stuff. We got to get it done this year, bro.
Yeah, I agree. The first half I think was, obviously a success. They went through a lot of adversity, different injuries. You lose Priester, Woody, 800 million other dudes have been hurt. So overall, obviously it was a success. You're 22 games over 500 or something like that. Kicking ass so far. Obviously, the last 3 games against Pittsburgh was problematic and very ugly to watch. Well, actually, 2 of the 3 because the last game was on the cock and nobody watched that. But you had to listen to that one on the radio. But I just want we should admit, if we're being honest here, that we've moved on from the whole Pat Murphy win tonight mantra. You're 100% right with some of these lineups, man. Some of them have just not been competitive. Back when, Joe Zero was hitting, .00004.
Wait, Pike. Now, you had a guy upset at you because you called him Joe Zero. He said, we call names, and that's not a good thing to do. So if you're listening and you're turning us off now because we called him Joe Zero, I think he said what he said 10 toes down. Carry on, Pike.
Well, hopefully he can grab a stuffed animal and it'll make him feel better. He can snuggle up with that thing, a little teddy bear or something. But, we've seen these lineups, back when Rengifo was here, and it would be him and Ortiz and Perkins in the same game, all starting at the same time. Like, what the hell are we doing? And then, like you said, with Greg Jones and some of these guys too. So, the win tonight thing, I think, is out the window now. It's more play smart. I wish that he would take this. He's got no problem resting dudes. He rested Churio with a couple games left in the first half. He's rested Yelly a little bit. Do that with Aaron Ashby. Do that with some of these dudes in the pen. You can't run them out there every single night. Ashby's been getting touched up lately. Is it because he's got too many innings on his arm, too many appearances, too many up and downs? It's definitely possible.
Well, the other thing about so many up and downs and so many appearances, which you kind of alluded to as well, is we're in a different age of baseball where it's not just the scouting from reading a report and this guy throws it. There's video evidence now. So these guys get more looks at the guy. And the most important time, again, when we need them, is October, November, and December for a parade.
That's right. That's 100% right. Yeah, hopefully these guys just stay healthy, man. But Murphy's made a lot of questionable decisions, both with the lineup and with the bullpen.
Any concerns from you with Mizorowski and Harrison going on this IL? I mean, I know you kind of alluded to it on one of our other shows. You wanted Ashby to join them.
No, yes. Am I nervous? Yeah, I'm nervous about everything. But like long term, like do I have legitimate long term concerns because they skip Miz and Harrison went on the IL? No, no, not really. But I am nervous because we were expecting great things out of the Judas Priester this year, and we got absolutely nothing out of him. And we were expecting at least a lot more than just a couple starts from Big Woo, and that seems to be over as well. So, easy come, easy go. But hopefully these guys bounce back and can stay healthy the rest of the way.
Yeah, 60-day DL is definitely tough for Big Woo. And then just, man, Gasser Gasser, the All-Star game could not have hit us at any better time, man. And I'm thrilled that where we are now. Real quick before we get out of here, I know you vehemently watched that home run derby. You were tuned in to every pitch from Mr. Evil, right? We get 3 evils mentioned in the cast today. I just thought that Jordan, a.k.a. Jimmy Walker, a.k.a. Johnny Walker, put on a hell of a show last night. I'm not for one of these guys. You got to change the rules. You got to have these 4-point balls in the 3-point competition. You got to do this. You got to do that. Baseball got it right. I feel like this is one of the better home run derbies we've ever seen. And it was an amazing performance. And Schwarber, nothing to bow your head at. He was amazing as well. Jimmy Walker got me a little bit of bread, though.
Well, that's always a good thing, man. I'm glad you won some cash off of that. I watched 0 minutes of it. I did get the play-by-play of the finals and semifinals because we were on the phone, and so like whatever we were talking about stopped, and you were just yapping about that. Hey, it seems like it was exciting. That's great. If that's your thing, that's your thing. I'd rather watch a 1-0 game than a home run derby. I'd rather watch a 1-0 game than a 10-9 game for the most part. But, I like pitching. I like defense. I do like offense too, but the whole long ball thing, the strikeout and home run era of baseball was ungodly boring. And I hated every minute of it. I'm glad it's over.
Hey, man, my last thing before we get up out of here is that I just want to see. So starting back Friday, we're at home for 9 games. Let's start sending a message. We got the pesky Miami Marlins coming in. We got another show coming up. We got a couple other special guests coming. Stay tuned for that. What I want to see, Pipe, before we get out of here, I want to see Tyler Hero throw the first pitch out when they get back from Vegas. I want to see Khalil Ware. I want to see, the foreign dude, Zielinski, him too. I want to see all of the. So what I'm telling you, I want to see both of the rookies throw. Oh, they already threw it out. But I want to see these new these new Milwaukee Bucks. We're collectively 4-1-4. And what a better time for Tyler Hero to come to the Milwaukee Bucks. You'll be in town for the parade because you're a Milwaukee Buck and you don't have to get a flight in.
Yeah, let them all throw out the first pitch. That would be probably the only chance I would ever get to see them in uniform if they wore their Bucks uniform. That would be cool. But, whatever. Am I happy Tyler Hero's a Milwaukee Buck? I could care less. But I think, obviously it's a good story, hometown kid, blah, 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 NBA sucks, blah, blah.
But while you're watching Pipes NBA, if you want the NBA updates, you can check our other show out, Cream City Crossover. We have a brand new show coming to the Cream City Media Group. It is called Cream City Chalk Talk. Be myself, Pipe Bomb, and the homie Justice. That'll be coming up this week sometime. We'll get a YouTube channel. We have a Twitter for it already. Follow all of us on social medias. We got the Facebook, we got the IG, and we have the Twitter machine on and popping.
Yeah, just don't send no spam crap that's going to sit there and crash our stuff like that happened a couple of weeks ago and got us hacked. But yeah, man, besides that, it's all good. I'm at Jeff _Orlowski on the Twitter machine. And you?
At at Rated R Nuke 414, and we're back off the injured list because we were on a 10-day DL.
Yes, we were. Yes, we were.
Now, we really appreciate all of you listening. Definitely appreciate Dan. Phenomenal information. The brother knows baseball through and through, high school, collegiately. Give it, what's this thing again? I forgot. What's this?
BaseballProspectJournal.com. BaseballProspectJournal.com. Dan Zielinski, he's awesome when it comes to all things draft. He should be a scout for some team, the Brewers. Pick him up, man. Dude's smarter than hell. Hard worker. He's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely immensely thank him for joining us, man. We appreciate you, whether you're listening live, whether you're listening later on. You know what's coming.
Whether you in the shower with Justin.
Whether you go to bed with Pipe Bomb. I'm your man, Justin, from North Carolina.
And Pipe Bomb in the good land.
It's been another episode of Cream City Curveball. It's a Cream City Media Group production. Go Brewers.